everybody, it's Ryan here. We just cut a release, version 0.10 today. A little bit of API shifting around that cleaned up a bunch of code for us and will actually make your project a little bit cleaner as well. And then also shipped a new feature where you can import images. So I just wanted to make a quick video here and run you through the upgrade so you can watch me do it. Maybe it'll make it easier for you. And then I'll show off the new image importing feature. So as usual, you can log into the dashboard here, come to releases, and then we've got a change history that kind of shows everything, and then more detailed release notes inside of here. So 0.10, you can come in here, read about why we made these changes, and then it's got step-by-step instructions on how to upgrade, and then a little preview of those images. But in this video, I'm just going to run through all of it with you. So we've got the Express starter right here. So the first thing you want to do to upgrade is upgrade to 0.10. So I'm just going to update all of those. Actually, I should probably put those to 0 because I just barely pushed 10.1, so I don't think it's going to be ready yet. So I'm going to npm install that. Yarn is so much faster. All right, so step one is this app TSX file. This thing's, it's kind of funny, right? Like, it's sort of a route, but it's not quite a route. So what we did is we made it a route. So we're gonna rename this to root. That's a special word. So root.tsx is the root route. In React Router, you can actually do like, you say routes, whoa, that's not what I wanted. Routes, and then you can have a route, path, whatever, right? And then an element, blah, blah, blah. You can actually have a route that has no path. So this is like our root right here. And then you can have child routes inside of there. Right, and then like put the about thing in there. So that's really what we're doing here with this root TSX files. We're just making one of these with React Router. And so now it gets to participate in everything that routes participate in, which in particular, the error boundaries. So before this was kind of weird. We were telling you to export the error boundary from here, and then you come into entry server, and then we told you to pass the error boundary here, and then you're also importing the app right here, and it's just kind of funny. So this is now a route. So that means that it can have its own loader as well. So first thing, we rename this to root TSX. Second thing we do is we quit using use global data. This doesn't exist anymore. It's just use route data. And this is going to be use route data. And then we're not going to do routes anymore because this is a route. So we're going to import outlet from React Router DOM. Switch this routes to an outlet because it's a route. And then you're like, but where's the data coming from? So we're going to come down here into global data TS. This file was always dumb. And paste that stuff in here. So since it's a route, it can have its own loader. And so now this route data is just going to come straight from there. So no more global data file. Boink. That one's gone. Okay, so that's kind of step one, is turning your app TSX into a root route. And now I'm going to come over to entry server and entry browser. We no longer need to import this stuff because it's just a route like anything else. And so I can just clean all that up. Don't import that thing anymore. It's just a route. And now we just render a remix, the end. And then do the same thing in entry browser. Oh, that's right. Well, whatever. I don't need to import this app anymore, and I don't need to pass that prop anymore, and I don't need to do that. So that's pretty fun. That's it. I think that's it. Let's give it a shot. Dev. All right, looks good. It worked. So that's cool. So got rid of a little bit of kind of, I don't know, just wiring up things that you really didn't need to wire up. And for us, inside of Remix, this commit was actually like a -200, close to -300, -300 line count commit. So we actually got to just delete a whole bunch of special casing of this global data, this global layout, and all of that kind of stuff. So we loved it, and you can see in the project it makes it a little bit cleaner. This is nice too. Okay, images. Check this out. Let's go to Unsplash. Here's a good-looking chap. Man in gray suit. All right. I need to open this up and get that image in there. So I'm going to put that image right over here. Oh, I lost it. There he is. Drop it into my app. I don't know. This guy is, he's really suave. Anyway, I don't really know what suave means. What does suave mean? Charming, confident, and elegant. Yeah, that dude is suave. He has lots of suaveness. Anyway, now I'm gonna come over to my root TSX and let's import suave from suave.jpg. So you might think that this is how we're gonna do it. We actually need an image colon in front of there. Couple of reasons why we went with this instead of just like implicitly using the .jpeg on the end here. Reason number one is we wanted to give you types. So check this out. We now know the format of this image. We know the height. We can generate a base64 placeholder that's going to render on the server. It's going to point to the source. So Remix is going to build this asset, put it in your public directory, and now you've got the URL to that source. Source set, this is a string of different widths for a responsive image. So if someone's on a small phone, we're going to only send them like a 600 pixel wide image instead of like a 2000 pixel wide image. And then you know the width as well. So knowing the width and height is awesome because now you're going to be able to prevent layout shift, which is super gross. So anyway, this is why we did the image colon is we couldn't give you these types with, anyway, it's a limitation of how you can declare different types of modules. And then the other thing is TC39 import assertions. This proposal, it's a stage 3 proposal. It's kind of interesting. So over in like Node, you've been able to do like an object equals require some .json file. And that's not JavaScript, but Node has always supported this where it's like, oh yeah, you can read a JSON file and we'll give you the object. And then in Webpack, we kind of started going nuts and we were like, oh, well, let's use the style loader on this thing and do CSS. And so this is a lot like this proposal over here where they're saying, all right, let's import some JSON from this file and then assert the type as JSON. So they got a couple different syntaxes here. Again, it's not finalized or anything. But the idea here is you can assert all sorts of types. Like you could import an image or something from somewhere that does some processing and stuff like that. So they've got down here intuition, right here, this part. Some developers have the intuition that the file extension could be used to determine the module type. Blah, 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 blah. However, it's a deep web architectural principle that the suffix of the URL, which you might think of as a file extension outside of the web, does not lead to semantics of how the page is interpreted. So on the web, dot and then 3 characters or 4 characters doesn't mean that's what the file type is. You can send whatever content type you want on the web. And these are importing over HTTP from the web. And so they have this kind of extra assertion. So maybe one day we'll be able to just use import assertions instead. We won't have this special case right there. It'll be something like this, type JPEG or image. I'm not totally sure yet, but we might end up with something like that. So since you have to define what the type is anyway, we're fine with this. So Also, I kind of like that you're so tired of me talking about this already. You just want to see how it works. I kind of like this as well because whenever you're doing something weird with these imports, I'd like to know that. You know, like, what the heck is this? If you see this, you might, I don't know, cruise over it real quick, but this is like, somebody tell me more. So anyway, so the way that this works is right now this is just gonna give us that image. It's just gonna move it into the public directory. But what's really cool is you can put a query string on the end here and we can say, oh, I want the width to be 500. And so now it's gonna resize it for us. So let's go and put an image in here. We'll put it underneath. So source is suave.source. See how nice that is? I'm gonna save this. We should see some information down here. So we always log, whenever we process an image, we tell you how long it took. Because we don't want you getting mad at us when your build takes a really long time. So you'll see how long your images are taking. And then this is the output file that it created. So now check this out. There he is, looking so suave, and it resized it to 500. We could resize it to 100. Now he's little. Let's do like I don't know, let's go back to 500, and then let's do quality equals 5. Blah. So this is where it gets interesting. Check this out. So we don't want quality 5. We want like quality 80. Let's throw a placeholder in here. And then let's come down to this image and let's say your width is going to be suave.width because we know that. Your height is going to be suave.height. So this is nice because we're not going to get layout shift when the image isn't loaded yet, because we already know the height. We read the metadata and turned it into a JavaScript module. Again, right? You can look on this. Oops. On this thing, we know the width and the height already. And then we're going to do one extra trick. So check this out. This is really cool. So we're going to say style. Let's get some stuff going on here. So we're going to say background image is URL suave.placeholder. So this is a base 64 encoded string of a really crappy version of this very suave fellow. And then we're going to have background size is cover. We just want that to fill up the whole image. Okay, I'm going to save this. Now, we didn't really get to see what was going on here. Let's go into our network. I need to move this down. And let's, I kind of want to see everything that's going on with the network. So I'm gonna just pull this out all the way and resize this window. So we're gonna say slow 3G and reload this. Look at that. Oh, that is so cool. I'm going to do it again right here. Oh, well, that one's not on slow 3G. I guess let's reload one more time. Let's do fast 3G. Reload. So you get that nice base 64 thing when people have a slow network, where they can kind of see what the image is, and then it like blurs in. And what's really cool about this is we can view source on here. Oop, not on the image. View page source. And look at this. That string is coming from the server. So it's encoded in the server render, which is great. We now get to see generally what this image is going to be way ahead of time. And this is where it gets really fun too. Check this out. Let's bring in, instead of doing width, let's say source set. And what we're going to say is we want a 640, we want a 1080, oops, and we want a 2048. And now what I'm going to do is say source set equals suave.sourceSet. I'm going to come back over here. This time I actually want to put it with the network. So the way that source set works, let's come in and, oh, I'm still on a slow network. You see that? See how cool that is? Ah, that is cool. So I'm on a slow network. Let's speed it up though. Let's just go back to online. Boop. So you can see, let's inspect the element. The image source, the source set here. If I copy this out, let's just copy this image component and paste it in over here just to see it. So we have a source, and this is pointing to the full, the size, the big one, this one, 2048. And then source set, you can see, is this string where we're pointing to several different files. So if you haven't used this before, well, now you can. And so it's saying if the browser window is 640 wide or smaller, we're going to download this one. And it ignores this one. If the browser doesn't support source set, it'll download the source. But if it does support source set, then it'll ignore the normal source and not download it. This is our biggest image right here. So if we're on a small screen, it's only going to download this one. If we're on a 1080 wide-ish, we're going to get this one. And if we're on a bigger screen, we're going to download this one. So this is so nice because when somebody is on your website on a phone, you don't want to send them these giant images. And so the browser is super smart here, uses that little media query and says, oh, okay, I'll just do the small one. So let's watch it over here on the network happen. So I'm going to come and make my window super small. And let's go to the network tab and reload this. And we can see that we get that image. Now if I, watch what happens as I make my window larger. Oh, we hit a breakpoint. And so the browser downloaded the bigger image. And now if we keep on going, we hit the next breakpoint and we get that image. Ha! Isn't that cool? So we have a slow network. We get that nice base 64 encoded version of this so that it downloads right away. And they know an image is coming. And then based on the size of the device, the browser is going to go and fill that in with something that's higher resolution, which is really cool. So you can see since my screen's kind of wide, this is taking a while, but we can shrink this up and we'll have a much faster experience this time because it's not going to download the huge image. It's going to download one of the smaller ones. See how fast it filled that in? That's cool. I think it's cool. So anyway, that's our new cool image stuff. So you can do these placeholders, all that kind of stuff. We got great documentation on it. I want to caution you though, and we say this in the documentation, don't use this for content. If you're building a blog and you want to have like a bunch of images on your blog, if you get up to 50, 100, 1,000 images, your build is going to take forever. We've done a lot of work so that rebuilds right here are still super fast. We don't process images that have already been processed. We basically use your public directory here. Wherever we're spitting out the build, we're kind of using this as a cache. And we clear that stuff out. We clear out the stale images as well from inside of there. But you know, we do our best to make it fast. But if you're processing hundreds of images, your build times are going to suffer bad. So in the docs, we link to a bunch of image services. You should use those if you need images for content. But if your website just has a few marketing pages, that's kind of what this is mostly intended for. You can have, process a handful of images for these generally static marketing pages, and you're not going to destroy your build times. So don't use it for content, or at least don't yell at us about your build times if you do. And then if you need it for content, then probably go grab one of those services. Anyway, hope you enjoy 0.10. And we'll see you next time on 0.11. Thanks.